I'm not going to assume that you have a whole team and staff to handle your social media and your blog publishing and all that stuff, right? So I'm going to assume that you don't have the resources to publish a well-polished daily newsletter to your fans, things like that. If you followed any of my content, you know that one of the things that sets me apart from other marketing teachers is that I value honesty in marketing, even humility in marketing. And just, I mean, I take my spiritual values and I put them as a priority in my business activities and my marketing activities. So I don't use lizard brain marketing like just about every other marketer I know does to manipulate. They use psychological persuasion tactics to manipulate people into buying. I understand that, and I know that people need money and they do those things because they need money, but I really do my best to not do those things, even though it makes me less money. I make enough, gratefully. But that's what I'm going to filter my presentation through that lens as well. I do believe if you are honest, if you are transparent, if you truly care for people rather than seeing them as targets to manipulate and to control and get them to pay and all that stuff, you can build a thriving and sustainable, at least enough money for you. my hero Gandhi right here, he always says, one of the quotes is, "The earth has enough for every man's need, but not for every man's greed." And that's actually one of the problems I have with the whole marketing world, but even the content marketing world. And I should give a clarification. The content marketing world is actually typically seen as more benevolent than the typical marketing world. I don't know if you knew that, but typical marketing and sales is like, use persuasion tactics to convince and convert and to do whatever you can to get people to buy, profit, profit, profit. No matter if it's truly what they need, they just get them to buy. The content marketing world is actually different. The content marketing world says, no, we want to build an audience by giving generously our free content. And of course we sell some content, but 90% of it should be free and even ungated without opting in. So that's from the content marketing world. The content marketing world is already more benevolent than the typical internet marketing world of sales funnels. And not sales funnels aren't bad completely, but a lot of the people who teach them are very manipulative. But anyway, content marketing world is a benevolent version of the internet marketing world, and yet I still think that the content marketing world is not applying the spiritual values I think that you and I both hold dear, which is the earth has enough for every man's need, but not for every man's greed. And I would say the content marketing world, the world of social media and the internet has enough, can produce enough livelihood for every person's need, but not for every person's greed. So for example, I no longer try to get the biggest audience I possibly can. I'm very happy that there are a few of you watching and commenting here live, and a few more of you watching the replay. But I realize that when you're watching me, your attention is on me. I'm taking your attentional resources away from whatever else you can be doing, and from other marketing providers, or other marketing coaches that could be you could be supporting their livelihood and their content. And so it's ironic because I believe in abundance on the one hand, but I think most people misapply abundance in that they think, oh, there's more than enough money for everyone. Actually, technically, yes, in the longest term possible, but in the short term or in the reality of things, a dollar spent one place is not a dollar spent another place. And so people like Brendan Burchard and Lisa Sasevich and Marie Forleo and Tony Robbins, I mean, they're great for some things, but they're taking a lot of attention away from smaller providers like me, right? Because it's like, if you're paying attention to them, you're spending money on them, you're not spending money on me or someone else who could use the livelihood. And so that's my one complaint about the content marketing world, is it's not realistic in terms of what our dear friend Gandhi says, is the attentional resources of the world have enough for everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. So my goal here is not to get you infinite amounts of audience members and like everyone can be famous. No, everyone can't be famous because everyone's attentional. If you're on someone's webinar, if you're reading someone's book, you're not reading someone else's book or attending someone else's webinar, right? If we bring generosity to people, they will decide eventually to buy from us, right? And another interesting statistic here is 70% of consumers prefer getting to know a business via articles rather than advertisements. 70% of consumers prefer getting to know a business via articles rather than advertisements. So again, another case, another reason for the content marketing world. So building out, the model is to build out an ideal audience who follow what's called your content sweet spot. And I'll talk about how to discover that, what that is. Like again, I mean, hopefully it's not a shocker. There are plenty of ways to make money fast, okay? You can do it too, but you will be going against your conscience, right? And so the content marketing world says, build your audience first, sell to them later. If you make a decision to be generous, you can't, and I'm going to tell it to you straight, you can't make money as fast as someone who makes a priority in conversion and persuasion. It's the reality of things. Whereas the internet marketing world says build stuff to sell, and then eventually build an audience so that your sales become easier. So it's sort of two different models. The content marketing model, though, could take months or even years to build an ideal audience before you understand them, before you have enough people and you understand them well enough to know what truly is optimal to sell to them. Listen, do both in parallel, build out an audience, but at the same time, keep testing. That's the key. Keep experimenting with different products, online courses, different ways to monetize until you get there. But again, the content marketing model still says, even though it's a hybrid, we can use a hybrid. They still say focus at least 50% of your results, or 50% of your energy on building out the audience, sharing content generously. Okay, so the first step is the sweet spot. How do you find your content sweet spot? The area of focus where you could be the best or one of the best in the world in teaching, in advising, in writing about. Okay, that's the content sweet spot. Knowledge some kind of knowledge that has clear value in society, meaning people are spending money on that type of knowledge, or there's a passionate following. So you're not sure people are spending money. Well, no, I would say this. I would say it's the first part of the formula is knowledge where people are spending money on it. So they're either spending money going to conferences on this topic, or spending money buying lots of books on it, or spending money on merchandise. So even if it's a passionate following, like you follow some type of toy, right? People are spending money on, or some kind of character in a movie, right? People are spending money on books about that character or toys about that character, whatever. So it's some kind of knowledge where people are spending money. Plus, the second part of the formula for sweet spot is some kind of communications skill set. Communication skill set. So valuable knowledge plus communication skill set is sweet spot. And I'm going to define it further to make it even more specific. There's a company that sells pools and spas. They install these things. And they decided, during the downturn, they barely could stay alive, that business. So they decided to take their valuable knowledge, which is people were interested in information about spas and pools, and their communication skill set was writing blog posts. So the owner said, you know what, why don't we take all the questions, let's brainstorm all the questions that that any prospective customer could have about pools and spas, like any question, and let's answer each question as a separate blog post. And so I think they wrote over 100 blog posts, or eventually now I think they have hundreds. And so by doing that, what happened was that they started to become the first page on Google for all kinds of questions about pools and spas, and their business blossomed as a result. And so, again, a interesting hybrid model is that they were already selling something, but then they were very generously giving away knowledge about their area of expertise. Okay, so let's talk about applying this, okay? First, you begin by brainstorming knowledge areas or skill sets that you have much more knowledge compared to the average person. And just brainstorm a bunch, because then you can evaluate later, oh, is this something people are spending money on, versus not? And then the second question is, what do you enjoy doing in terms of communications? I've given you some examples there. Do you like to write? Do you like to do videos? Do you like to maybe you don't like to be on video, but you like to talk, so that would be called a radio or podcast. Do you like being with people in person, so facilitating in-person meetings? Or maybe you like speaking at in-person meetings. Do you have a passion to create a magazine? Do you have a passion to create some kind of cool event? So some way of gathering people and communicating something, that's his communication skill set. So, and then third question is, what audience do you want to specifically speak to? Okay, and really, I invite you, as you watch this, to start taking some notes as I'm saying this. What's coming to mind for you. So again, first step is brainstorm that more than valuable knowledge skill or knowledge area or skill set. Second is, what is your communication skill set? You might have to test out different ones to find out what you enjoy. And then third one is, what audience will you specifically speak to? What are the pain points? Okay, what are the pain points and informational needs of that audience that you could create content to address? What will make them pay attention and want to consume your information versus other people's information? You need to be clear enough about the audience to visualize him or her. Okay, it doesn't have to be perfect clarity, but it needs to be someone where if you describe them to me, I could say, oh, I know someone like that. Oh, I know someone who probably knows someone like that. So you need to have some kind of, be able to describe that person to someone, okay? This guy, Jay Baer, was being interviewed, and he said, 10 years ago, you couldn't ever publish your own newspaper, right? How's that gonna work? But today, you can just say, hey, I'm gonna make a YouTube video every day about Japanese whiskey. And if you keep your nose to the grindstone, eventually you can be the Japanese whiskey guy, and you could take advertisements, you can give speeches, and all those things can happen. So really, the content marketing model says, if you're willing to put in the work, you can succeed with a big enough audience and monetize that audience in some way. Again, it doesn't have to be you selling coaching or selling consulting. It could be you taking advertisements from bigger companies who want to reach your audience, which happens a lot, sponsorships, all that kind of thing, right? So now, the important thing about content marketing is that focus is important, because the old idea of marketing is really thought about as local, right? Like, locally, if you're trying to reach people locally, you want to try to be many things to many people because there's only a limited number of people locally. But when you're using content marketing and you're doing things online, the irony is it's not being many things to many people. You need to be as specific as you can to a specific type of person, because when you're online, suddenly, whereas locally you might only have 10 people who fit a very specific profile, online you have 10 million people who fit that very specific profile. And they're searching very specific words to find solutions to their problems. And if you're being really broad in general on your website and in your content, Google and other search engines and other people who remember you are going to be confused. Oh yeah, what does she do again? She does all kinds of stuff, so I don't really remember. But if she's really focused, like, oh yeah, she does this for this type of person, that's much more memorable. So again, when it comes to content marketing online, focus actually gets you more attention than being broad. So really important, specific problem for specific type of person. Okay. The second part of the model, now that you've thought about the sweet spot, is now you need to create a content tilt